Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shaping the Future. I'm Dr. Jeff Gold, and I have the honor of serving as the president of the University of Nebraska System. This series that we call Shaping the Future celebrates the people who embody our mission and those whose work changes lives and builds a brighter future for all of our students, our state, and well beyond. And today is a great example of that. I'm so honored to be joined by my friend and colleague, Ms. Ann Barnes. Ann is our Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of the University System, and she's also Vice Chancellor for Business and Finance and Business Development at the University of Nebraska Medical Center, and has just recently begun to serve in a role leading the business development at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln as their interim chancellor for business and finance. A lot of hats, Ann. Prior to joining the University of Nebraska back in 2022, Ann spent 25 years at the University of Oklahoma in their College of Medicine, where she served as the Senior Associate Dean for Administration and Finance, and at the University of Oklahoma College of Medicine, and later she served as the Chief Administrative Officer of OU Physicians, the Physician Faculty Practice Plan. On today's show, we're going to talk about her journey to the University of Nebraska, the current state of the budget here at the University of Nebraska, many of our capital projects, what's happening across our campus, and so much more. So Ann, it's great to be with you. Thanks for giving us a few minutes of your busy day. It sounds like you wear an awful lot of hats. But our audience is always interested in a little bit of the background. How did you get interested in a career of this nature? Was there a mentor or a role model that inspired you? And what was your educational journey like?
Absolutely. So I will tell you, one of my mentors is someone that we both know well. Dr. Dwayne Andrews was Dean of the OU College of Medicine for a number of years, and I worked with him extensively and learned a tremendous amount from him and thoroughly enjoyed both the personal and professional relationship there. I was very happy in my role in Oklahoma, and when a headhunter reaches out, most of the time you pass, you don't listen, you don't pay attention.
We both know that scenario quite well.
But this time they said Omaha, and my oldest brother has lived south of Omaha for the last 25 years. And so I was really interested in being near family. And so I thought, well, I'll go take a look. And as you know, when I came to UNMC and did the tour, was blown away. Really, there aren't a lot of academic medical centers that have the broad number of colleges that both UNMC and the OU Health Science Center have. So it was a great way to compare and contrast, and I saw what was really impressive. It was significant, the amount of philanthropic support that UNMC has benefited from, and so it was an easy decision to say I wanted to be part of this. We've also moved my parents to Nebraska after moving up here, and it's just been a fantastic opportunity.
Well, one of the very important parts of the job that we discussed way back when you decided to come here was not just what I would call the routine, although it's never routine business and finance activities, certainly not today, but the business development side of it. And that was part of it that really excited me, and I know that you were really taken to it as well. So can we talk about some of the business development things that you've been involved in? Because they're very, very important to us today.
Absolutely, thank you. So the Edge District was something that, the concept started before I arrived. But through that acquisition of property, UNMC has been able to develop this property, the Edge District, with both the Catalyst and the core buildings.
Formerly known as the Saddle Creek District,
yes,
right?
Yes, and it's one where, we're really excited about the opportunity to build an ecosystem where entrepreneurs have an opportunity to rub shoulders with academics, create this kind of incubator space where those that are particularly in the biotech space have an opportunity to create. Our faculty have fantastic research that they do. They are always thinking of new things. And we've seen that these types of areas in other communities are incredibly impactful. It helps us recruit, it helps us retain, and it also helps us drive the economy of both Omaha and Nebraska.
And it'll hopefully be an increasingly sustainable revenue source
Absolutely.
for the university, because this intellectual property, these discoveries, inventions, patents, etc., ultimately have at least some ownership residual to the university, and that hopefully gets turned into resources that can be pumped into the academic mission.
Absolutely.
So it's been a little over a year now that you've joined us here in Lincoln, and it's really given you a bird's eye view into the history of the budgeting process and the finances of the university, and at the same time, I think what I would call the opportunities to create a more sustainable model. I know you've done a lot of work to accelerate and to solidify some of the procurement areas, etc. But let's talk budget for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, we've worked really, really hard with the state. We've worked really, really hard to try to keep tuition affordable. And as you look over the budget of all of our campuses, do you have any reflections on that as to, first of all, the corrections that need to be made, and then most importantly, how we can continue to sustain a solid budget, which means resources for the future?
Yeah, I think, as you know, many of the campuses have operated rather independently over the last number of years. And so consequently, we have some redundant things. We've done some consolidation, or at least standardization of those approaches, probably, beginning in the FY18 period and on. I think we have now an opportunity to go more extensively into some of those areas and really eliminate any of the redundancy, or just, look for greater efficiencies. Each of the campuses is taking a budget cut this year, some more so than others, but really trying to make sure that we are addressing those structural deficits. Most of that has occurred because of enrollment changes that haven't, been able to maintain the enrollment
and
that we
have
had.
been accumulated over many years.
Absolutely. And so now we feel like we have a good handle on what those are. We're making those difficult choices, particularly UNL, looking at some of the programs, not just an across the board, everybody takes a cut, but looking at some of those more vertically and identifying, what are the cuts that, we don't want to make, but we need to make in order to sustain those other programs and allow them to continue and grow. So again, looking for ways to standardize the approach and looking for efficiencies, but also looking at ways that we might grow enrollment. I think that is going to be the thing. We want to be the place that, our Nebraska youth want to come, but also other places. As you know, we've talked about online education and the opportunity that could afford us to, again, stabilize our budget. We kind of go to tuition increases as a bit of a last resort. We did partner with the state, but as you know, our state support has grown, but not at the pace of cost of living and those kind of increases. We didn't do a salary plan this last year. We have such incredible staff and faculty. We have to be able to do a salary plan this next year. And so in order to do that, we've got to make sure that our budget will allow. And so what are the ways that we can save in some places so that we can support and retain our faculty and staff?
Well, I think that's a phenomenal summary. I mean, if I would distill it down to the absolute minimum, is we have to grow.
We have to grow.
And whether it's in enrollment, whether it's in retention of existing students, non-traditional students, online students, whether it's in areas in our research and sponsored programs or in contractual work that we do, we have to continue to grow. And as you pointed out, we have to continue to grow at a rate that exceeds inflation.
Right.
Because we've got to be mindful of that. And unfortunately, in spite of the state's best efforts, they have not been able to keep up with the inflationary rate over the last decade. And certainly we have done much less than the inflationary rate for tuition. I mean, I was looking at some numbers. We've done about, over the last decade, about a third of the aggregated inflationary rate with tuition in the interest of keeping higher education and our university system affordable. All very laudable thing to do.
Sure.
But at some point, we have to buy the same dozen eggs and the same quart of milk that you and I have to buy, in our home, and we have to find a way to pay for that. And we'll never cut our way to do that. We can only do that through growth.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, and creating efficiencies, and to the extent we can maintain optimal independence of all of our academic programs, and at the same time, the back of the house stuff that can come together in a way that's effective would be very useful. You know, one of the things I'm most proud of that you initiated was some tightening up of some of our procurement programs, and particularly the reimbursement programs. Maybe you could talk a little bit about how that happened, because I think it's a great example of when we focus on something, we can actually make a meaningful change.
Absolutely. So, you know, we had a process that was not working as well as we had liked, and so
some might say it was an abject failure, but
it was a system that was definitely challenged. And so, by putting the right resources in place, you know, we were able to, you know, get that to where, you know, reimbursements are being made on a much, you know, I mean, literally, you know, days instead of weeks and months. So, you know, we always look for those wins, but we also are not satisfied ever. There's always opportunities to improve. And so, you know, just step by step, we continue to work on that. One of the things that we're contemplating right now is, you know, further review of our contracts. Some of the campuses in the past have, you know, negotiated their own contracts, but that doesn't take advantage. It doesn't leverage the entire university system's purchasing power. So we are beginning to look at a number of those contracts where we can look for greater savings through renegotiating those at a system level in order to achieve greater savings. So not only, you know, procuring things initially, you know, reimbursing faster, but also looking to, you know, leverage the entire systems.
Well, I bet you there's quite a bit that can be gained there over
Absolutely.
time by consolidating and leveraging the scale of our purchasing power, and for tiny little things and for great
Absolutely.
big things as well. And that gets me to another question is, you know, one of the ways we've accelerated the reimbursement procurement cycle was through automation, through software. Do you see other opportunities, particularly by applying some of the concepts of AI that are now available, to really accelerate and reduce cycle time and create more efficiency and possibly even reduce cost?
Absolutely. I think there is probably, you know, unlimited ability to use some of that automation and AI. You think of some of the HR functions that we do, screening of applicants, compensation analysis. A lot of those kind of things have historically been very manual, very labor intensive.
And take weeks and
take weeks and weeks. And so, you know, the ability to enlist some of that additional technology, I think, will allow us to do it faster, do it more complete job. And again, free those people up to do other things within the system. So we're going to continue to look for those kind of opportunities in all of our back of house operations. We've talked about it from a security standpoint. Is their ability to use AI. We have cameras all over our campuses, as you know, and you know, we literally cannot watch every camera feed every hour of the day. Is there a way to use AI potentially to screen some of that as well? So we're looking at a number of ways to enlist technology.
Well, I want to thank you for taking on so much work, for wearing all these hats, for building organizational stability in all of our finance functions, and you know, and we're all in this together. And thanks for giving your time today for this Shaping the Future. And to our audience, thank you for joining me and joining Ann today, and we look forward to the next time.